Welcome to the LGBTQ Real Estate Podcast, where we connect LGBTQ homebuyers, sellers, and real estate pros since 2007. With us today, we have an amazing real estate professional, and I don't say that lightly. Brittany Harrison covers the Front Range of Colorado, a beautiful area. I love to ski myself. I've been to the area. It's just phenomenal. The nature, the beauty, the mountains, the ranges. Wow. Okay, Brittany, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, Jeff.
Thank you. I got carried away with the nature. I'm in Florida. There aren't a lot of mountains here, and I miss it.
Yeah, the mountains are for sure beautiful. And I'm really lucky I get to look at Pikes Peak and Cheyenne Mountain every day. So I can promise you it doesn't ever get old.
Wow. Beautiful. Great. So welcome to the show. Our format is simple. We have 15 minutes. We know people are multitasking. We keep it brief. Let's get down to it. First question, tell us a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. So my wife and I moved here to Colorado from the DC metro area about 6 years ago and instantly fell in love with more than just the mountains, but the people. It's a wonderful city. It's a little hidden gem, I like to think, sitting here along the Front Range. Um, Prior to real estate, I was in education. And so I actually have a master's degree in Spanish. I'm a fluent Spanish speaker, love to travel. But once I was transitioning into real estate, I knew that I wanted to serve members of the queer community, obviously, as my wife and I had experienced purchasing our first home here in Colorado together. And I just knew there was a lot of improvement that could be made for the experience of LGBTQ people. But I also wanted to serve the Spanish speaking community using that skill that I had developed over the years. So fortunately, I had some pretty early success in real estate. And then I decided I wanted to become an industry leader here in our city and in our region, specifically as it relates to the experience of LGBTQ people. So I completed the At Home with Diversity designation. And I also did the Leadership Academy through our local MLS. And a lot of the work that I do now is around education and how to support people and build inclusive businesses. And then also, obviously, serving our community. So it's something that I'm really passionate about, something I love to do. And we couldn't be more grateful to call this wonderful place home. So.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that. I could tell you are very passionate by the way you speak about it. And that's awesome. We share the same passion. So let me ask you, for someone watching this, the Front Range of Colorado is a wide swath of land. Can you tell the person where you service?
Absolutely. So you're right. The Front Range is actually a really large demographic area as well as geographic area, but the bulk of the population of Colorado lives along the Front Range. So I start in kind of the southern Denver, south, like downtown South Denver area and the surrounding cities there. And then I work through Colorado Springs and all the way down into Pueblo. So I have experience really, again, in those South Denver neighborhoods into Castle Rock. Colorado Springs is my home base. This is where I live, work and play. And then I do work all the way down into Pueblo. So anyone that's looking to move up and down the main metropole here along the Front Range, I'm your girl.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, such a pretty area. And
Yeah.
springtime must be gorgeous there now, right?
It is, the one thing I miss about Virginia is the autumn fall colors. But in Colorado, the springs definitely went out. Like the colors are fantastic. The buds are all blooming now and the things are coming back to life. It happens so quickly. It's like one day it's still winter and then you blink an eye and the spring just kind of emerges. It's really lovely.
Nice. Very nice. So I know you have many LGBTQ clients, okay, because we spoke numerously about that and we do
Yeah.
marketing together and you've shared some of your accolades. Tell the user, the person that's watching this podcast, what is it that you love about working with the LGBTQ community so much?
Yeah, so I am a big believer in why and understanding our purpose. And my purpose, which I've kind of distilled from strengths and experience, is I love to empower people as a vehicle for uniting people. So I work hard to, specifically in our community, empower people about the importance of homeownership. And that really relates to the fact that less than half of members of the LGBTQ community are homeowners. And as we know, the simplest vehicle to building wealth and a sustainable future is owning a home. And so I work really hard to help educate our community and provide resources for the community about why homeownership is important and pathways to be able to achieve that homeownership that are very approachable. So for me, I think that that's probably why working with the LGBTQ community is so important. About 85% of my business, that fluctuates obviously, but a pretty solid 80 to 85% of my business is working with queer people to achieve just that homeownership across the board, so that we can really have that as an equalizing factor for people moving forward to give our community a stronger voice and presence in the community.
Very nice. Yeah, it's so important what you do. If you think
It
about it,
is.
like you said, building wealth, owning a home, the stability it can provide, the wealth building, you pay that mortgage for 30 years, you can retire. Um, there's many facets of it, and you said it very well. And thank you for sharing that. So I know you love living in your community. You're very passionate, and people could go on Google. They could find out a little bit about your area. But from your voice, I know the person viewing this podcast would love to hear what you love about your area. So, for example, tell us about your community, what you love about it. Maybe your favorite parts of town. There's a lot of arts in Colorado, a lot of
Yeah.
great dining, great coffee shops, maybe wine bars, maybe a little bit about the job market. What would you share in a nutshell?
Absolutely. So there's a lot to share about Colorado, but the Front Range in particular. Colorado Springs, the city where I live and do the bulk of my business, was founded by a Quaker man, William Jackson Palmer. And it was founded as a planned community that was meant to be an oasis for health and retreat. And in reality, like life in Colorado Springs, still very much so is in tune with that feeling of oasis, health, retreat. The culture here is very much so one of work-life balance. In my world, I like to think, if I was to give you a picture of like a perfect day in Colorado Springs, you'd wake up, you'd hit one of our local coffee shops. We have a plethora of local shops with their own roast methods and their own kind of niche coffees. So I would definitely hit up one of those. Some of my favorites are Loyal Coffee, which I adore. Also like Solar Coffee. They actually roast their beans using solar power. That's a very Colorado thing to do with energy efficiency and kind of sustainability. And then we would hit one of the many trails that our city has. So over 500 acres of trails and over 9,000 acres of parkland that's owned by the city. We also have a wonderful state park right here in Colorado Springs. So most of us are going to be out either walking, hiking, lots of runners out on the trails, just enjoying those outside spaces. We also have a lot of accessible trails for people that might utilize wheelchairs for mobility or might have some different types of abilities and disabilities. So that's a really special feature too. We really believe that a connection to nature here in Colorado Springs is the foundation for a really healthy life. So whether that's just sitting, enjoying the sounds of the birds, whether it's actually being physically active and recreating in those open spaces and those parks, that's a really big part of who we are and kind of our daily life here. Most certainly after hitting the trails, you're going to be hungry, right? So I would love to go to one of our many restaurants in town. Got some great brunch places. One of my favorites is Urban Steam. It's located just near downtown. It's kind of a punk steam cafe, if you will, that turns into a whiskey bar at night, which is a really cool, fun thing. Something really neat about Colorado is a lot of our restaurants and bars are inside outside because our weather is fantastic. We have more than 300 days of sunshine. I know Florida, you guys have lots of sun down there too, but we
We
really
do.
enjoy beautiful sunshine days here. Very agreeable weather. So 3/4 of the year, we're outside enjoying that. And most of our restaurants are set up with garage doors or lots of windows that are open. So you constantly are feeling kind of, again, in touch with that natural setting. So after eating, lots of cool museums and things to see here. Jeff, you mentioned we do have a lot of arts in our community. We have an incredibly profound art community in both Colorado Springs, Manitou, and then up and down the Front Range, obviously. Some of my favorite places in the Springs is the Fine Arts Museum, which is connected with Colorado College right downtown. But we also have a brand new museum, the Olympic and Paralympic Museum, which just opened a couple of years ago. And it's so fantastic. It kind of showcases the fact that we are Olympic City, USA. We are the home base for the Olympic Committee and the Paralympic Committee for the United States. And we have over 52 governing bodies of different organizations related to the Olympics that also call Colorado Springs home. So you have no shortage of being out on the trail and probably seeing an ultra marathoner that's an Olympian, or riding the roads with an Olympic cyclist. I mean, it's very common to see that here. And then after we head to the museums and explore a little bit, we could head up to the zoo, Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. It's one of my favorite places in town, ranked number 3 in North America. It's an incredible zoo that's built into the side of Cheyenne Mountain. So you have these really exotic but natural scapes that the animals get to live in, and you get to feed the giraffes and check out the wallabies. So it's a really cool place to go. They have lots of events for both families, children, but adults as well. So it's a cool place to visit, and definitely a must see in Colorado Springs. Before heading downtown and checking out the downtown space, it's grown so much since I've lived here in the last 6 years. I'm really proud of it. Our downtown partnership has worked really hard to provide multiple transportation types, from scooters and bikes to a downtown transit system that's free. So, and then obviously walking is a really wonderful way to enjoy that space. And along the streets, we actually have an art walk. We have a permanent exhibit that is a part of our streets in downtown Colorado Springs, and it is open for people to just walk and see the artists. There are pamphlets for that at our visitor center at Visit Colorado Springs. So really a cool place to just explore art, nature, shops, restaurants, really no shortage of fun to be had. But then I have to tell you, I would end my perfect day in Colorado Springs at our soccer stadium, Widener Field. It just opened very recently, home to the Switchbacks. We are crushing it this season. We did great last season as well. But the environment, the ambiance is amazing. People are really excited to be there. It's a good energy. It's a really fun time to kind of gather together as community. I promise you, I see probably 35 people every time I go to a game. It's a place where we all kind of come together and celebrate life in Colorado Springs. And every game ends with a fireworks show. So you can't end a day any
Wow.
better, I think, than that. So that would kind of be just a quick snapshot of what I love about this place, and really how we've stayed true to the mission of our founder of just finding a way to live life and really enjoy it beautifully, and live in close proximity to our space and our nature that surrounds us, and just enjoying everything that life has to offer.
Wow.
Want to
Wow.
visit?
Yeah, I do want to visit. Ironically, we typically fly into Vail and then take a taxi over to Beaver Creek and, spend 6 days there skiing. And, there's so much to do in Beaver Creek Village
Yeah.
that we don't venture out too much. But yeah, Colorado Springs sounds amazing.
Yeah, just a little visit
Yeah.
here. The mountains are still close, so it's easy to get there. No problem.
And I didn't know about the new soccer stadium. I had read about Colorado Springs, of course, to prepare for this podcast as well, but I didn't know about the new soccer stadium. That sounds like a lot of fun. I played soccer in high school, and I haven't been to a game in so long. It's like kind of on my bucket list.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if I go to visit, we'll go to a game as well as visit for the coffee in the morning, and your whole day tour I like. So we'll just do that.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds great. Call me and I'll give you the list, the rundown.
Great, great. Well, you may see me there. I like to get out and about. In Florida, it's just like, especially during the summertime, it's just air conditioning and more air conditioning. And but we get out and about. We go to the beach. I'm exaggerating a little bit. We do a lot of things. Um, yeah, but it sounds beautiful.
It really
So
is.
let's get to the next question, because someone that's watching this, probably stumbled upon it through YouTube or Google because they search for LGBTQ real estate in your area.
Mhm.
So for the person that's watching this, tell us about the housing stock in Colorado Springs. It's probably very diverse. There's probably everything from condos to mountain homes to, ranches. Tell us a little bit about it. You probably serve every little bit, right?
Absolutely. And you're right. It is incredibly diverse. So we have obviously single families, condos, townhomes. We have multifamily units in downtown. We've got a lot of new luxury apartment buildings that are there. But, we're really geographically divided. Again, we are a historic city. So you can find a Victorian right next to a mid-century modern, right next to a brand new luxury mountain kind of modern build. So we have a really beautiful eclectic nature to our city, which I think is really fun. It, I think, captures the diversity of our city. But what I do like also is we're kind of geographically bound. So obviously in the mountainside, the west side of town, up in the mountains, you have phenomenal homes with spectacular views of the city and the plains. But then you have homes out on the plains with fantastic views of the mountains, ranches to the east, horse farms kind of to the north in the Black Forest area. But we really are, we have a little bit of everything, but we're still incredibly affordable. We have proximity to Denver. But we're still at a much lower price point than that. So it's kind of this kind of perfect wedding of really anything that you might be interested in that might fit your family's needs or your personal needs. We definitely have it here, and we have it in spades. So I love the unique and very eclectic nature of our neighborhoods. And I think that's something that makes us really special too.
Very nice. Very nice. Thanks for sharing. So, for someone now they know a little bit about the area, what to do, the type of homes. But for the LGBTQ person watching this, whether it's an individual or a family or a couple, what should they know about moving to the area being LGBTQ? I know it's very
Absolutely.
welcoming. It seems like a very, friendly environment,
Yeah.
but I know the person watching this would like to hear it from you. You were there.
Absolutely. So I think that, Colorado Springs has had a long history. And so, I think a lot of cities deal with inherited reputations. But the reality is, this is a very inclusive space. When my wife and I moved here 6 years ago, we instantly felt welcomed and loved in a reality in ways that we didn't even feel moving from the DC area. And so we have personally built community here and have found that there are wonderful pockets in this city and places where we're more than comfortable, more than welcome. A couple of facts though, Colorado Springs is the 13th gayest city in the nation. And when you think about that by way of size, we're only around 500,000 people right now. So that's a pretty impressive statistic, considering that. We also have a ton of community resources for members of the queer community, which I love. We have community groups, social media resources. We have medical resources. We also have legal resources. We are experiencing right now in Colorado, and the Springs in particular, a little bit of an exodus of people coming from other states that might not have such supportive legislation. But we do here, and we're very well protected. Colorado actually does protect not only sexual orientation, but gender identities as a part of our legal state statute in housing. So it's great. You're a part of a protected class here, which means fair housing laws apply to you, where again, they don't in other states. So if you're looking for a really safe place to be, and you're looking for a really inclusive environment to kind of live into your authentic self and explore all of your identities, this is a great place to do it. It's just a loving community where we all kind of coexist really well together.
That's awesome. And that's the way it should be.
Absolutely. 100%.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks for sharing all that. It's so important because, people could search on Google and read stuff, but, actually seeing this and, of course, they have your information to contact you, BrittanyHarrison.com. Inclusive will also add your phone number, your email to the information on this YouTube podcast. So here we are. We're down to our last question. We know a little bit about what you like to do in town, but besides helping people buy and sell homes, when you're not working, what are your favorite things to do?
Absolutely. Well, I'm definitely out on the trails. I love to hike, love to paddleboard. I have a lake just about a half a mile away from my place, so you'll see me out on the lake a lot. But my wife and I
Nice.
spend a lot of time traveling. We just got back from walking the Camino de Santiago last summer. We have plans and sights on doing the second sister trail in Japan. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
pretty active traveling, and that's when we're not here, we're traveling, but we always love coming home. And I can promise you, every time we pull back up after getting off a flight, traveling around, no matter how great of a time we had, we are always really happy to be back in Colorado Springs and be home. The sight of the mountains just gives us that comforting feeling to know that we're where we should be, and we love it here.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great. It was great to have you on the show. And let's keep in touch. I appreciate the welcome to Colorado Springs. We're in Jupiter, Florida. So if you're ever in the area in
Awesome.
South Florida, you're welcome to join us. And thank you again.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Jeff. It really was a pleasure.
The feeling is mutual. Bye bye.